गदाधर शिवशादि गौरभक्तवृन्द Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Rama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Kali Yamuna Tata Jaya Vrindavana, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe, Radha Gopinath, Radha Gopinath Radhe, Radha Kunj Bihari, Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. So today we have assembled to actually study on Bhagavad Gita 3.40. This is very nice verse actually, because now we are coming to the end of the Karma Yoga, wherein Krishna will conclude very, very important points actually in these slokas, especially from 3.37 onwards up to the end. It is all very, very like a summarizing all the aspects of the Karma Yoga. And then after this, he will be explaining more about Bhakti Yoga. So he will be slowly means making Arjuna to understand what is exactly the Karma Yoga. So from here we are going to start the Bhagavad Gita 3.40, the sloka number. So we can chant this sloka. Indriyani manobuddhir Ashtadishtanam uchyate etar vimohite esa jnanam avrityadehinam. Word by word, Indriyani, the senses, Mana, the mind, Buddhi, the intelligence, Asya, of this lust, Adhishtanam, sitting place, Uchyate, is called, Etaha, by all these, Vimohyati, bewilders, Esa, this lust, Jnanam, knowledge, Avartya, covering, Dehina, of the embodied. The translation, the senses, the mind, the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Anybody would like? Can you read it? Shall I read? Okay. The purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hint of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects of sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all the ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and the senses becomes the repositories of the lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter and thus with mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as a true happiness. The false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13. Yasya atma buddhi गुणोपेत्री धातुके स्वाधि कलाद्रादिषु भौमाजिय इज्यति यत्तीर्थ बुद्धि सलीलेनाखरिच ज्ञानेश अभिज्ञानेषु सा एव गोकरा. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of births worshipable, and who goes to the places of pilgrimage simply to take bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered like an ass or a crow. Okay. So this story is actually, this particular verse is taken from the Srimad Bhagavatam when Lord Sri Krishna was instructing the devotees assembled in the Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse. In the 10th canto it is explained very well. So first we will just do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimandaśya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurumlitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Srila Prabhupada Pariniti. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namne. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Desha Tarine. पंचतंत्व महामंत्र. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. As I told, this particular verse, which is 3.40, is very important, especially from 3.37 onwards. It's like a summarizing of whole chapter, whatever Krishna spoke in the Karma Yoga. So here also, Prabhupada gives very nice purport of this particular verse. As per Krishna, what he said, that Indriyani Manor Buddhir. So what does it mean? It is giving three places. First, which one? Indriyani means senses, okay? Mano, man, and then Buddhi, intelligence. These are the three strategic position where lust is settled, okay? Now, why we are actually talking about lust? If you have gone to the full chapter 3, at the from 3.37 onwards, Krishna will emphasize about lust, because lust is the greatest enemy, what Krishna will tell. So now, if one knows where is the position of this greatest enemy, one can attack it and counter, means do some countermeasures for that. What happens generally in war? You might have seen. Suppose there is a currently the war is going between Ukraine and Russia. Okay. Now, if Russia or Ukraine, anybody can get such an informer who can tell where exactly your greatest enemy is hiding. So what he will be doing? He can attack those specific places. Okay. And in turn, he can also give certain strategies how he can weaken that particular greatest enemy. Suppose XYZ person is hiding, which is the greatest enemy, and he has some 10 subordinate people or 5 subordinate people, and he can tell that, okay, you first kill those 5 subordinate, this particular person will become incapable. So same way, actually, Krishna is actually providing the strategic positions where exactly this lust is situated. What is these three places? First is Indriyani, means senses. Second is Manur, man, means mind. And third is Buddhi, intelligence. So these three places he actually tells. And in the same purport, Prabhupada very nicely actually brought in one very specific point of actually Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13, which is nothing but the story of Lord Krishna, in which he was instructing to devotees and sages which came to see the solar eclipse in Kurukshetra. And when they came over there, Krishna was actually worshipping those sages as soon as they came. So then he instructed all the devotees who was assembled there, especially the ladies of Kuru dynasty. To them he was instructing that, uh, and in that particular Draupadi, actually he was instructing that when a person considers himself as a byproduct of the body to be a kinsman. Now, why exactly this he is telling? Same thing he tells in a uh, in Bhagavad Gita, wherein he tells Pandita Samadarsina. Okay, if you just correlate this, Pandita Samadarsina means what? He will see all the people, whether it is a dog, cow, or dog eater, or Brahmana, all in a same level. Okay, means what? He is considering everyone as the same. So same thing he is trying to actually give over here. Who considers the byproduct of the body to be his kinsman. Okay, and who considers the land of birth to be worshipable. Currently we are born here, and we may be having enmity with Pakistan or something, and suddenly next birth we don't know where we will be born. We may be born in Pakistan or some other places. So that time our birthplace will be that. Today we are hating Pakistan, tomorrow we will hate India. So from the soul perspective, the land of birth is never constant. Okay. It can be today this place, tomorrow you can be in some other place. But soul is a constant thing, because it cannot be neither created nor be destroyed by anything, by even fire or anything sharpest of the knife. Okay. Now here he told about that who considers two things he told. First thing what? Who considers the byproduct of the body to be his kinsman. And second, who considers the land of birth to be worshipable. And third, who who goes to the pilgrimage place only to take bath and take darshan. Why he is telling these three things? Because in Kurukshetra, that time, sages came. When sages came, those are very glorified personalities. Okay, even Devi Devtas used to come to take their darshan. So that time, Krishna gave the instruction to all the devotees, telling that these three things you should not consider. Okay, what we should do, he said, rather meet men of transcendental knowledge. Means meet the people who is having transcendental knowledge. There is there is to be considered like here means one who does these three things is considered like an ass and a crow if they don't meet the transcendental people. If you take the life of Srila Prabhupada, okay, he went to the West, okay, and whoever has associated to Srila Prabhupada actually got the divine knowledge. Now, what is that divine knowledge? That divine knowledge is nothing but self-realization. We may think it is just a two-word self-realization, but think we don't know Sanskrit properly, okay? We can't read scriptures properly. Now, those people, when they associated with Srila Prabhupada and they got to know all this knowledge from his mouth, they got purified. So, what we should do when we go to any holy places or when we meet any transcendental people, we should hear from them. Otherwise, going to the pilgrimage place is just like actually going to some other place only. So, what exactly happens when you hear to the saintly person in those places and hear about the Mahima of the Dham, then our knowledge and our realization and the connection with the God happens. And then we can understand what is our relationship with the God. So that is why it is very important. Now, I would like to go through the details of the first three lines that from here to here. I have just presented it in a slide manner so that we can understand. Okay. So this is very nice one. Okay. So what exactly Krishna is telling? The focus of our learning in this purpose should be what? What are the repositories of the lust? Okay, strategic positions. As I told, suppose Ukraine-Russia war, strategic position we have been told. Now we need to know that here all our enemy is situated. So Krishna similarly he is telling to Arjuna that Arjuna, lust is your greatest enemy. Understand this. Lust is your greatest enemy. Now where these lust is, so he is telling the repositories of the lust. So where it is? Mind, senses. Okay? Intelligence comes later. Most of the place where exactly the lust actually stays is in the mind. Okay? And where from this lust is arising? Your desire arises from your mental speculation because of the false ego. Okay, a desire has arisen, and then to fulfill that, your mind actually makes you to get it to attach to the objects of that senses. So that lust repositories are where mind and senses, and then come lust means intelligence. Okay. Now what happens when it is in the mind and senses? The greatest place where exactly it will stay is mind. Okay, why? Mind is residing from previous births also. The mind goes from previous births also. So there is a samskaras. Samskara means what? Impression. Certain impressions in your mind. Okay. So what happens? This samskars actually not only from this birth, it also is from the previous birth. And this birth is hardly your maybe 40 years, 50 years or maybe 80 years. But we have been in this material world for millions of lifetimes. Okay. And when we have been in millions of lifetimes, so our samskaras which has been inscribed means in our mind is from so long. Okay. Senses which is in the touch with the gross bodies. Okay. So I will just go, means I will explain more detail over there. But before that, I am just trying to make you understand that where exactly the lust is there. Lust is in the mind, senses, intelligence little bit, but major place is mind. Okay. Now next is what? Here it is told, mind as reservoir of ideas of sense gratification. Can you imagine? What happens? You will have get different types of idea how to enjoy certain sense objects. Okay. Whether you want to eat or whether you want to do any, miss those four activities, ahar, nidra, bhaya, mathunam. Okay. When you do these four things can be done in different ways. Okay. You can be Kumbhakaran also. Okay. So there are, and you can be lustful as Ravana also. Okay. But here what exactly it is told? Mind as reservoir of ideas of sense gratification. First what we told? Lust is your greatest enemy. And where exactly it is residing? In mind. Now we are, what we are telling? Mind is reservoir of ideas of sense gratification. Means what? Where from it became reservoir? From your previous samskaras. Okay. When you get in touch with the material objects, a samskara is developed. Okay. So that way it will just stay over there. So sometimes what happens, what you say, fire will be brought in near you. What you will do? Will you touch it? No. You will just, if somebody touches you, you will just do like this. You will just try to repel. Why? Because that is your need, that has been already in your mind that you should get away from that. So those are ideas and things which is actually inscribed in your mind. Now what is intelligence? Intelligence is next capital and next door neighbor. It is just next door. Okay. First is what? Senses, then mind, and then above that is intelligence. Okay. When intelligence is there, why it is told as a capital? Because from there only you will decide by your intelligence yes or no. Okay, when a desire comes in the because of false ego, your mind will tell enjoy it, but your intelligence will tell yes or no. So that will come where? That is there in your intelligence, and it is a next door. And sometimes, not many times, nowadays mind will fool your intelligence. Okay, it will tell yeah, just enjoy it. This is the time. This is your age. Enjoy it. Okay. And that time you will just enjoy it. And what has happened? A bad samskara has been inscribed in your mind. And what exactly does? Shackles are made. Shackles of what? Shackles which actually binds you like a thief or means culprit who are bound by shackles to this world. So, what has happened? Now we have told about lust, which is our greatest enemy. Where exactly the reservoir is? Okay, mind is reservoir of sense gratification. Now we told about intelligence. Okay. Now what it is? Intelligence influences who? Soul. So actually, if you go, it is like this: gross body, senses, mind, intelligence, and this is Jivatma, your soul. Okay. So what has happened actually? Now intelligence influences what? Spirit soul, because that is at the top. Understand? If you go by this, actually soul is never affected. Soul is Satchidananda. Soul is never affected, but soul is now separated from Krishna. Okay. When it is separated from Krishna, why? Because of our false ego of desire that we wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. And then when we came in contact with material things, our love, which was there for God, became lust. Now we will tell why. Now this is exactly a perverted things. It is just like a vector. You know vector? I don't know how many of you have studied physics. If you have studied physics, there is something called vector and there is something called just magnitude. Okay? What is having vector is having a directions, correct? Now, what happens when direction of love is towards Krishna? That is a pure love, prema. When same thing, same magnitude it is, when that is for selfish desire and enjoyment from the material objects, that becomes lust. So both of them are having means 180-degree different, means what you say, directions. One is towards Krishna, towards upward, another is towards downward, towards the material things. So what actually Acharya says? Acharya says that the love of God is just like a milk. Okay? And when we put tamarind in that, little bit tamarind, okay, what it becomes? Curd. Okay? So what happens? What is this tamarind? Tamarind is none other than this material world. When our soul, which was with Krishna at the time of when we were there with Krishna, we were enjoying, we were loving Krishna. But as soon as we thought, okay, let's enjoy separately, let's have a slight selfish desire. As soon as we got that, Krishna sent us here. Okay, you go there, you enjoy. And when we came from there, that same love which was there, that propensity of love for Krishna, became lust over here. Lust of what? To exploit certain things, exploit sense objects, exploit means other things, whatever it may be. Okay. So what exactly it is? Intelligence influences the spirit soul. How? Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter and thus with the mind and senses. Okay. Now, spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as a true happiness. What exactly it is this? As soon as the spirit soul comes over here, the lustful desire increases. And more samskaras are actually inscribed in our mind. So what happens? We actually start thinking with aham mameti, my or mine. This is my, this is my house, this is my car, this is my kinsmen, relatives, this is my. When you start thinking my and mine, and you, what we do, we stop that, we cut that connection with Krishna. We do not see them as the children of Krishna, but rather we see that it is my product. What we can make? Can we make a brain? No. That is not in our capability. It's all Krishna which has given. So that is the thing. So what exactly here? Spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as a true happiness. So what exactly it happens? As it is told in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.58, that the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the heart of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in the terms of I and mine. This I am just quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he tells, where Sukdev Goswami is telling about Aham Mameti. What exactly is the Aham Mameti over here? So, what we have seen here now, false identification. What exactly is this false identification? Manifested in various forms, as it is told in the 10.84, which we have told earlier. Identifying body made of three elements: one's self, okay, considering the byproduct of the body to be his kinsman, okay, considering the land of birth, only to be worshipable, and pilgrimage simply to take bath without taking the knowledge from the means what you say any transcendental people. Now what we say, okay, I can understand that kinsman, land of birth, and then bath. But how does it relates to false identification? Reason is because it's not bad to actually take care of your kinsmen, relatives. It is important. That is your duty. But we should understand from the means instruction of Krishna that Pandita Samadarsina, the one who is self-realized soul, will see everyone in connection with Krishna. When you see in connection with Krishna, that is a higher perspective. You will not try to exploit them. At that time, you will try to take care of them. When you see he is only mine, you will try to protect, but there will be a big attachment. But when you see he is the also children of Krishna and my under my protection and under my means take care, that time you will be obliged with Krishna that you have given such a nice family to us, whom I am taking care on your behalf, and then you will respect everyone. That is not for us also, for every family member. Okay. In this perspective, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur and Bilwa means and uh, Baldev Vidyabhushan also says that senses, mind, and intelligence become huge fortified cities of lust. So the Vaishnavacharyas actually gives nice analogy from this particular verse. What exactly they tell? That these places, senses, mind, and intelligence becomes a huge fortified. Fortified means what? Durg. Durg is what? We see forts, big forts are there. Okay. That becomes a fortified cities of lust. What to tell about one or two lust? It is a fortified cities of lust, big lust, lusty cities in our mind, in our senses, in our intelligence. And we should understand now Krishna is trying to summarize the Karma Yoga, and he is telling Arjuna the strategic positions of the lust, where exactly they reside. So, how to attack that also Krishna tells, how to rectify it. So, here in the Bhagavad Gita 6.24, Krishna very nicely tells that all desires actually manifest because of your mental speculation of false ego. So what we are having, all this lust has been taken a strategic position, and desires which is coming from the false ego is also going and deciding there as a samskaras. And what exactly it tells? That for manifesting karma through enjoying the sense objects and by decision and ascertainment. Means what? What happens? When you get a lusty desire, you try to make all kind of arrangement to fulfill that. How exactly? Same way as Ravana. When he got lustful for Mother Sita, what exactly he did? He made all kinds of plans from his intelligence. What kind of plan? He asked one of his friends to become a golden deer so that Ram and Lakshman can go away and he can capture Mother Sita. So one lustful desire of Ravana made him to make such kind of plan. Similarly, we as a soul who is actually in contact with the material objects, we also start making certain plans to make certain enjoyment from the object and make certain intelligent plans. Sometimes to buy even car, which is not in our budget also sometimes. Okay. Or sometimes even some boy actually try to trap some girls also. Or some girls actually try to trap boys also. Both the way. So what exactly it is? That for manifesting karma through enjoying the sense object by decision and ascertainment means one start trying to do certain activity through his intelligence to actually make certain plans. Okay. And what is sense objects? Sense objects are citizens of those cities. Acharyas are very intelligent. What he did told, your mind is having huge cities of lust. Now, sense object, what he told, they are like a citizens. So, how many citizens we have kept in our mind, we don't know. Okay, if one you will cut, another will come out. Okay, now by material sense, mind, and intelligence, wandering here and there for sense objects, lust thus bewilders the jiva. So now what happens? By doing this, lust bewilders jiva. Now what we'll see what happened after bewilderment. What will happen? For that, Krishna already told in in chapter 2, 2.63 or 67, that after bewilderment you will get anger and then this and then all your intelligence is taken away. Okay, you will just become crazy. Now one say that okay, kama esha krodha esha, okay, means from lust anger arises. One nice story was told to me by one of my senior actually. Once what happened, he was going by one car. Okay, similarly in another car a couple was going who was not married actually in foreign countries. Okay, when they were going together, this couple was trying to actually show his affections of love actually, and they stopped in one of the means signal, and they were trying to display all their means activity on the public. Next, then they started, that signal got over, and then the next signal for they started going towards the next signal. As soon as they reached the next signal, the girl started beating and the boy started beating. Okay. So that senior of mine, he told, kama esha krodha esha, from lust anger arises. So that was an example, immediate example you can see. And you can even see in certain things when you get very, very attached to certain object and you are not getting. Okay. That time a fire, tapa, means tapa will be coming in your heart. A heat will start burning to get that somehow or other way. And when you are not getting, anger will definitely arise. So, what actually Acharya is telling? By material senses, mind and intelligence, wandering here and there for sense objects, lust thus bewilders the jiva. Bewilderment means lust makes jiva disinclined to knowing Atma. What is disinclined or to knowing Atma means? What is your true knowledge? True knowledge is to know your soul, self realization, as I told earlier. Prabhupada went to the West and preached everyone, and that time they were not even knowing who is Krishna. Okay, but he preached them, and the sound vibration is such a pure that it actually melted their heart to become a devotee of Krishna. So, when you start associating with such kind of saintly people, your Atma will get purified. Now, how Atma will get purified? So, for that, there is a just previous to this verse actually there is another 2 3 verse behind. I think there is a properly written actually that how your uh, atma is covered, your consciousness is covered. Either it is covered like a smoke, or it is covered like a your dust on a mirror, or it is like a child in a womb. Okay, so these way your consciousness will be covered. So what exactly is this consciousness? If you see, this consciousness is called actually avrit chetna, sankuchit chetna, mukulita chetna, viksit chetna, and then purna viksit chetna. These are the 5 consciousness. Okay, avrit chetna is very dull. Those are with the plants. Okay, and sankuch chetna is with the aquatic animals, and mulk chetna is with human being, And Viksit Chetna is also with the human being when it is blossoming. And Purna Viksit Chetna is for devotees who are actually very in the prema bhava or means very high bhava bhava. So what happens actually? So in those scenario, a person will be having a proper consciousness. Now here we have learned where exactly our lust is situated. We have learned that okay, this will make us disinclined to the knowing Atma. Now in this story, there is one nice story actually. There is a story of Ajamila. You all might be knowing, and there is also a story of Bilva Mangal Thakur. Okay. Once what happened, Bilva Mangal Thakur is none other than he was a South Indian Brahman. Okay. He was staying at his home. Okay. He was very attached to one other lady. Okay. Whom we can say prostitute. Okay. And he was very attached to her. And he was every now and then going to her. So one day what happened, there was a huge rain, flood was there. And this guy was so much attached, he wanted to just meet her, anyhow or not. So much huge rain was there that whole pathway was muddy. He just went. Then there was a river. He just tried to cross it, and when he was crossing, a dead corpse, a dead body was passing. He thought, okay, this is a boat, I will just stand on that and go to the other side. He went other side. So much rain was there that from the tree there was a rope like thing was coming down. From the above the tree, the house of that lady was there. He thought, okay, this rope is there, I can reach as quick as possible because of this rope. And he just grabbed that rope and went up. Okay. And he went to that lady. And the lady saw him full drenched with water. As soon as she told, hey Bilvamangal, how come you come like this? In such a means heavy flood. And that too, when you were passing from the river, I can see you were actually holding the dead corpse. And when you were climbing up, there was a big snake which was actually there, and you just climbed without even thinking of any other things. Because what happened, Bilva Mangal was at that time was so much in the lust to actually meet that lady. And when he met, his eyes got open. And she told, the amount of lust which you have shown to me, if the same amount of love, if you can show to Krishna, you would have gone to the Goloka. That moment, he thought, Bilva Mangal thought, this is none other than the voice of my Guru Maharaj from her mouth. And he took two pins which was there with that lady and pierced his eyes. And he went to the Vrindavan thereafter and stayed and did Hari Bhajan. So this was the story of Ms. Bilva Mangal Thakur. So what exactly we learn from this story is that lust can make you crazy to the maximum extent. And when it is making, that time we should know what to do. Prabhupada very nicely tells actually, when you are not able to control your senses, you should be in the association of devotees. And when you are in the association of devotees and do the prescribed duties under the association of devotees, that time your senses actually get cured. How it is? Same way when how Prahlad Maharaj says the 9 process of actually devotional service, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. What happens? We start hearing, doing Kirtan, doing Archanam. What are these activities? These are activities which will actually please Krishna. Please Krishna for what? It is Samsiddhir Haritoshnam. Samsiddhir Haritoshnam means it will actually please the senses of Krishna. Now we will say, okay, if it is pleasing Krishna, how it will benefit me? Fine, it is pleasing Krishna. Now my number one enemy is lust. Okay, which is residing in Where? Mind. Okay. But you are telling doing this bhakti, how pleasing Krishna will help me. Finally, my lust is there, sitting on the enemy is sitting. In the next verse, Krishna will tell how to attack this lust. What he says, you should actually first engage your senses, purify your senses, do the activity which can actually purify your senses. Once you do that, the enemy will become weakened and you can easily conquer the lust. So these 9 process of devotional service, which is actually explained by Prahlad Maharaj, which help you to actually purify the senses. And when it purifies, you are able to control your senses. And when you are able to control your senses, you can conquer on the enemy. Same way, once what happened, Chanakya Pandit was trying to defeat Alexander that time, you know, when he tried to conquer India. So he was trying to attack, he told Porus to attack directly. They failed. So once he was eating a hot khichdi, okay, hot khichdi in a plate. And when he was eating, okay, he tried to pick the khichdi from middle of the plate. Once the lady just was serving the khichdi, she told Prabhuji, don't you know that you should not eat the khichdi from the middle because it will be hot. It will burn your hands. You should eat from side because it will be cold. Same way, lust, which is actually in the mind, as you can see in this particular figure, the lust is in the mind. Okay? And it is also residing in your senses. Okay? But if you directly try to control your mind, it will be difficult. It will be nearly impossible. Okay? So what exactly Acharya told? Okay, Acharya told very nicely. What he told? They told that you should first try to control these senses. How? Some here, one second. How exactly? I will tell you. What he told? Hisikena hisikesa sevanam. Okay, bhaktir uchyate means bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, the master of all senses. And when the spirit soul renders service unto Supreme, there are two side effects. Okay, one is freed from all material designation, and once the senses are purified by being employed in the service of the Lord. So what happened? When you start engaging with Krishna, okay, doing services for Krishna, I may be in a material designation, something else, okay, maybe CEO or something. But here I am a servant of Krishna. I have lost all my designations. Correct? Another thing is, when you start engaging, you are seeing Krishna, you are hearing Krishna bhajan, you are smelling flowers of Krishna, you are eating Krishna prasadam. So what happened? Your senses starts getting purified. Okay, you are raising your family, okay, in Krishna consciousness way. You are seeing everything in a connection of Krishna. So what happened? Your senses are now purified. So now what happens? Your enemy who was residing in mind, who was strongest in the mind, that lust, number one enemy became weak. And finally, what will happen? That will also can be easily conquered. So with this, I would like to end this session. Okay. And before ending, I would like to just tell in this particular scenario, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very nicely states that all the senses are like a river. Okay, river flow in different directions. Okay, but when you make a dam, what happens? Everything, all the energy of the river comes in one place, and then you can utilize for a constructive purpose. like creating an energy or providing it to the farmer. Same way, these senses which is going in different direction has to be channelized, and for that one should do bhakti. Bhakti for what? Samsiddhir haritoshnam. With this, I would like to end my today's class. Any questions? See what happened now? When Jivatma, here if you see in from this particular, one second, I will just tell you the details. Jivatma is here, okay? Jivatma is here, correct? Now, when you see yourself to enjoy, okay, away from Krishna, okay, and everything in your ahamameti way, means my and mine, that time that ego is called false ego. You getting it? There is a ego. There is a good ego also, true ego and false ego. So what is false ego? When you are taking the things away from Krishna, okay, keeping it away from Krishna and thinking that it is all for my enjoyment, okay, and you want to disconnect from the God, that everything which is mine, Kshetra Kshetragya kind of thing, this is my Kshetra, nobody should enter here, okay. So that time that ego is called false ego. But when you see everything in connection with Krishna, that this is Krishna's thing, this is I am also for Krishna, this whatever I have earned, that is also of Krishna, then it will become a true ego. Okay. Any other question? Leave it, bro. Leave it. Any other question? Bro? Any doubt or anything which you want to learn? I hope this class you might have understood. It is more to do with actually how we can control the our enjoying propensity, and that can be only controlled when your senses are engaged with Krishna. I wanted to explain some more thing, but here, up to here is good enough at this moment. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yantrasya Matkutam ki Jantrasya.